The first line is even more curious. The ESV and the CJB translates this verse a little bit differently here than what we have highlighted. You were the signet of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. What's more, the ESV translation of this passage states that the original meaning of the Hebrew of this phrase is not fully understood. You were the signet of perfection. So the translators kind of had to do their best with what they had. Looking at other translations of this verse produces various alternate takes as well. Some say seal up the sum, model of perfection, and things like that. But we're actually going to take a little different path, and we're going to look at what's referred to as the Septuagint to kind of take another look at this, all right? And it says, thou art a seal of resemblance. Now that's interesting because it says a little bit something more to us. Like much of God's amazing word, I think this passage could possibly have multiple layers of meaning. One of those layers is that it's a bit more obscured and the text could be hiding a little bit that holds maybe a little bit more deeper meaning. And this could actually be referencing not just Satan's perfection, but that he actually holds the signet ring of God. Now, if you've heard of a signet ring before, it's still in use today, but signet rings have been around pretty much since the dawn of man. It's still in use today, while much less common in this day and age. In times of old, they were used to both secure information and display the authenticity of the sender of a message or direction. So they would they would roll up a scroll, they would write whatever the message was that needed to be kept secret. They would tightly roll the scroll. Where the overlap was with the end of the scroll, they would put melted wax on there, and then a signet ring that had a special symbol that would be unique to that ring would then be stamped onto the wax until it was cool enough to pull the ring away, and then that seal would be on the wax. So whoever got that message would know that it had not been compromised because it would be sealed closed. So that's how a signet ring would work. A modern use of this system is actually kind of a notary, is kind of how we use this. But the most famous signet ring that is still in use today actually belongs to the Pope. So it's called the fisherman's ring. Each Pope actually has his own unique signet ring called this. It's the fisherman's ring. And upon his death, it is immediately defaced and destroyed with a chisel and hammer so that it can't be used. We see this system in place also throughout Scripture in various places in the Bible, the most famous of which is actually Joseph in the Old Testament. So Joseph, when he comes to kind of rises up and comes to second in command under Pharaoh in Egypt, the Pharaoh actually gives him his signet ring. We can see this in Scripture because whoever had the signet ring carried with it the power of the king or Pharaoh or whoever the leader was. And in this particular case, I think talking about this verse in Ezekiel, I think we might actually have a situation where we have a kind of a double meaning here. And a lot of Scripture is this way. It's very layered, where we're not only talking about Satan's perfection and wisdom and beauty and all that, right, which we get in the next verse, but we're talking about the fact that he actually had in his possession the signet ring of God. He was able to act as God's direct representative, which is huge if that's actually what's being said here. I personally believe that it is. So we can see this again. Another really great example of this is actually in Revelation when we see the scrolls being opened and the original scroll being opened, the seven-sealed scroll being opened in Revelation to start the tribulation and all of the end times. Nobody is found worthy to open it except for Jesus Christ. And I'm going to highlight why that is here in a little bit.